Hey, this is Connie Jones with the Warrior Arise podcast, where we empower men and women to live in the freedom and fullness of their God-given identity, purpose, and potential. Each episode is filled with transformational insight, counseling and coaching wisdom, practical tools, personal growth and wellness expertise, and biblical truth designed to bring healing, clarity, and courage. Whether through the solo episodes or powerful interviews with purpose-driven leaders, you'll be equipped to unleash your powerful warrior within so that you can live and lead bravely, freely, and authentically in your life, work, and calling. Let's go. Okay. Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Warrior Arise podcast. I'm just so glad that you joined us here today. You're going to love our guest today. It's another member of our team at Arise Counseling and Coaching. Her name is Grace, and you will just absolutely love her heart and her spirit, and like I do, and I can't wait for you to get to know her. And Grace, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Connie. I'm happy to be here.
Yes. Well, we are so glad to have you and love having you here at Arise. And you're just such a beautiful soul. And so thanks for sharing your heart with us. And speaking of, tell us how'd you get here? What inspired you to become the therapist that you are?
Yeah, it's been a long road, but it's been a very rewarding one. I think honestly, the main reason I'm here is because of the Lord. The Lord has brought me here, and He's been with me every step of the way. He's paved the path for me to even just find Arise and to find my graduate program. And it's been a really, really sweet journey. I really just felt the Lord calling me to service, and I felt that for a really long time. And there was a big point in my life where I feel like I was trying to find my way based on my flesh and not based on what He wanted for my life. And once I just surrendered to His will and I heard that calling of service, in its truest form, not in the form that I thought it was before. That's really where I found my graduate studies, and that, hey, I really have a heart for helping those who are going through mental health struggles. I've been through my own. How can I relate to other people through what I've been through and through what the Lord has brought me out of? And how can I find that? How can I help them find strength and clarity and freedom? And so, so it really was hearing that word of service in my heart, and then trying to find what the Lord has blessed me with, the tools that He's given me in helping others. And that's when I found Connie and I found Arise, and I really feel like it was just heaven sent. And it just felt like this is where I'm meant to be. This is the work I'm meant to be doing. And so I would say that that's the biggest part. And I just know that I'm meant to help others by connecting to their heart, helping them out of their hurt, helping them out of their trauma, and just having them know that they can live a life free of that and not holding on to that. So.
Ooh, I love the way you said that. And you know that, and I share that with you share in that passion with you because that was my story too. It was out of my own struggle. You know, I had debilitating eating disorder, anxiety, depression, OCD, and just struggle, and, was tired of living in the struggle and feeling like I was just surviving in life. And, God didn't make us to stay there.
Right.
He created us. I mean, I hear that verse, in John, in the Bible, it's like, I came that you may have life and have it to the full. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm not experiencing life to the full. What's going on?
Right.
Lord, what's going on here? And I set out on my own journey to, in therapy and then coaching later to, to break free and found that, that place where I can thrive. And I'm sure you experienced the same thing. And then it made me want to, it's like, oh, I want to help other people experience this.
Right. Yeah, definitely. You want to share the wealth with others once you know the truth, for sure.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
And like we don't, it doesn't mean that we know everything as a therapist. We don't have all the answers or we've got it all perfect. We just aren't afraid of the struggle anymore and we can lead others down the path, not necessarily the same exact path that we went on because their struggles are different, but we can lead them down the path to freedom
Yeah.
and it's fun.
Yeah, and I think that's the beauty of counseling and therapy is that it's just two humans connecting on a human level, and it's like neither of us are perfect, but I'm going to help you with the knowledge that I have, right? And so I think that's
Absolutely.
the part I love about it is that human
I
connection of just humility and no shame involved. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. So, what keeps your heart like really fueled and anchored in the work that you're doing right now? Like, what is it that fuels that passion for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think just the concept that healing is available for anyone, right? And I think
Yeah.
it just takes a heart that is willing to take that journey, a heart of forgiveness, and just an overall eagerness to grow. I think just that concept that healing can come for anyone. And even I found that in my own life, right? Like there were times where I thought I wasn't worthy of healing. And, this would just be who I was for the rest of my life. And then once you just open your eyes to the fact that, hey, I am worthy of that. And I can grow in ways I didn't even understand. Like seeing that growth in my own clients, even just the baby steps of growth that is just what
Yeah.
keeps me going in this work. It's just really
Well,
rewarding. And I
it's,
think I've seen times where in my own life, my heart was really hardened to the idea of healing. Just because, our experiences, we can hold on to them. The trauma can be it can just weigh you down and not make you want to
yes.
take that leap of faith. Um, but once I realized it truly comes down to choice, right? What life do
Mm,
I want to choose to live? Do I want to live a life that doesn't align in my values and who I am? And just keep going down this path of sorrow? Or do I want to choose to live in line with my values, in line with even my faith and who God has called me
yeah.
to be. And I think I do understand the fear that comes with that. It's not an easy
Yeah.
process because when you start, you're unraveling all the trauma, you're unraveling all the ugliness. And I think that's what keeps a lot of people from taking that step, right? And I think just as counselors, we understand, hey, this can be really scary. Um, we've all been
Yeah.
through our own things. We've all lived different lives. But we know the goodness that comes from the healing process. We know the beauty that comes with growth. And I think when I see
Mm,
that, that's what just keeps my heart centered in this work. Keeps
oof.
me really rooted.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. Yeah. And growth is a painful process, but
Mm,
it's a beautiful process. If we think of it like that, it feels like when we're on our journey, it sometimes feels like, oh my gosh, am I really growing? Or like, what's going
right.
on here? This is painful. This is hard. This is,
Yeah.
I've got to dig into this stuff. But like, it's a beautiful process. And
Right.
if we think of it like that, it can spur us on to understand and know this is a journey of becoming more of who I was made to be.
Yes.
I love that. Love the way you see that. So, what personal experiences or what beliefs have shaped the way that you understand your clients and walk alongside your clients? You've alluded to that a little bit, but like, let's dive into that a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, I think my own experience with my anxiety even I've gone
Yeah.
through different waves of depression, like when I was in college, just really debilitating depression, right?
Yeah.
Some
Yeah.
of those experiences on my own mental health journey, like, allow me to say, hey, I might not know exactly your perspective of what you're going through, but I've been through
Yeah.
something similar. I know what it feels like to feel that type of low, or like I can't do this. Um, I think that that allows me to really walk alongside them and just be like, "Hey, I'm here to walk with you through this journey. I know it's gonna be hard because I know it's been hard for me, and there's some days where it still is
Right.
hard for me. I'm human too."
Sure.
That's what allows me to just stand side by side with them. I'm not
Yeah.
an expert in terms of my own mental health journey. Like, I'm still walking through it myself, but
Yeah.
I know things that have worked well for me that might work well for you. I know maybe how to guide you in a different way that someone else might not, or you might not know how to guide yourself. So just reminding my clients that I'm there with them and I'm human too, and I just want to be with them through the process. Um,
Mm.
I think that just knowing my own mental health journey has been the biggest experience for me. And just also
Yeah.
like my walk of faith and being at one point so far from the Lord and coming back, that's been, I think, such a huge part of my life, if not the biggest part of my life, of just really true growth. And then when you see
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
like, wow, like the prodigal son, like going so far away and then being welcomed back in. I think that allows me to say, hey, we're all human and you have forgiveness and, just true mercy at your hands available to you. Uh, and I want to show my clients that mercy and that love and not any shame,
Mm.
right? So just trying to
Yes.
really be with them in the process and reminding them that we're all human.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. And it's such a beautiful thing to be able to walk that out with someone and not, because isolation just fuels that shame. When we try to do things ourselves, it's just like we just get in our heads and
Mm,
it just fuels the shame and can even fuel, addictive patterns and tendencies and those kinds of things. But all that just gets broken right open when we can walk it out with somebody who is supportive and caring.
yeah.
So that's beautiful. So who do you feel most called to work with? Like who do you see
Yeah.
in your in counseling and what kinds of struggles patterns, do they tend to bring into the room?
Yeah, I think I'm still walking that journey of, okay, who is the Lord calling to be in my life? Who is the Lord calling me to work with?
Yeah.
I'm still walking through that. And I think I've made a lot of progress in that. Um, I am specializing to work with military and vets. I have a real heart for, I like to say, like, serving the underserved, right? And
Yeah.
I think I really have a heart for military families, military wives,
Mm.
military children, because those are the people that may be the unseen, the unheard, right? What
Yeah.
stories do they have to tell about the impact service has had in their lives? So I have a real heart. I have a real heart for doing family systems work. Um, I
Mm.
have seen the Lord really calling me recently to working with women individually who are just ready to
Yeah.
take a leap towards healing and taking a leap of
Yeah.
faith in that way. I like working with women that are going through different life transitions, new life stages, women who have gone through betrayal, and just overall
Mm.
like confidence building. I
Yeah.
really see my heart being pulled in that direction.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest trend I've seen with my clients, because I work with individuals, I've been working with couples, I've been working with a lot of adolescents. The biggest trend I've seen is just this topic of like betrayal in a lot of these people's lives. So
Mhm.
it manifests itself into this like subconscious type of distrust that they don't even realize is rooted in some form of betrayal. And I've just seen it
Yes.
across the board in so many ways because it really can betrayal can manifest itself just in so many different ways, right? Um, it might
Yes.
not be the basic forms of betrayal like that, come to mind automatically, but it can be in all different relationships. So I've seen a lot of that. And I think that my heart is tied to a lot of betrayal work because that's something that I felt in my own life, right? I felt
Mm.
moments of betrayal that have impacted my own journey, even just to become a counselor. And I think that's where I can really connect with my clients' hearts. So I think really overall, I want people who are, hey, I want to trust again. I want to take this leap of faith and growth and healing. And I just love the spirit of like forgiveness that's tied in with that, right? Um,
Mhm.
that hey, like I can forgive myself and I can forgive others in order to move forward in this growth process. So
Mm. I love
yeah,
that. When you talk about betrayal, like what kinds of, you give some examples, like what, because we think of betrayal as, oh, I got cheated on or I got, and like that's the ultimate, but like what other kinds of betrayals are you seeing that that are really hurting people, that are breaking down, tearing down trust
right.
and emotional safety? I see that a lot.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think, when you hear that word, right, it's an
Yeah.
impactful word. We think of like these big moments of betrayal. But what I see a lot is these micro moments of betrayal. It can come from mom and dad, right? Like, oh, mom, she did something that embarrassed me in front of my friends. And what might
Yeah.
seem to mom as something that's like not a big deal, right? But to the child, hey, that really affected my trust in you. And it could be something that sticks with them long term. And I think that's where this idea of the uniqueness of each individual's heart, right? Something that might impact someone else might not impact another, right? So something that could seem really small to me might be like, whoa, this is something that stuck with me through my whole life for you. And I think that's where these little micro moments in our lives can build up to something bigger, and then it can lead to a deep mistrust. And so I think that's the
Yeah.
pattern I've seen is not even
It's
necessarily
almost,
those bigger moments, but the small ones.
yeah, I mean, it literally is trauma
Yeah.
in many cases. I mean, betrayal is a traumatic experience for
Mhm.
us. It is like it's life shifting
Yeah,
and can really create some deep heart wounds.
for sure. And I think all of
For
us just inherently have that longing to trust other humans, right? We
sure.
want to connect with others, and trust is just the basic buildup of that connection. So when that's broken, first of all, it's just hard to bring it back, and it also just
Yeah.
hurts and it sticks with us. So
Right. Yeah. What other, so when you're working with couples, is there anything that, I mean, like how would a couple know that they're a good fit for you? Is my first question.
how would they know they're a good fit for each other?
A good fit. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Hmm.
What kinds of
I mean,
things are you
I
see
think
other than, I mean, betrayal, obviously, but what other kinds of things are you seeing with the couples that you work with?
yeah, I mean, I think that communication for me is just such a big part of the couple in the way that they work, they navigate arguments, they navigate just, day to day life. And that's where we
Yeah.
can see kind of those like microaggressions, right? If we're not on the same page about what communication looks like to both of us. I think that that's a big factor. And I just think also,
Mm.
like just values, just basic life values. Like what are your dreams in life? Where do you see yourself going? If we're not on, similar pages, or just at least a page of, hey, I'm really, really glad that that's your dream. And I love that. I want you to take that on, having that like willingness to give to the other, even if it's not exactly what's for you. I think that's huge. It's just that,
Yeah.
I always like talk to my couples of like how can you serve the other, right? Service is such a big part of like I think my overall work. How can I even teach my clients that? Because when you're in a couple, it really is a lot about self-sacrifice, giving to the other person what they may need, while also having them, give back to you in what you need. Yeah, so I think that idea of like self-sacrifice, communication, I think it's huge.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. And then you mentioned family systems. What is for those that don't know what family systems therapy is, help us understand what that is and how does that look in the work that you do with your
Yeah, I
clients?
mean, I think the coolest part about working with family systems is that your system plays into all different parts of your life, right? So we're looking at the family makeup, but we really look at how every part of an individual's life impacts their growth in therapy, right? So even if I'm
Yeah.
doing individual work with them, I like to say, "Hey, like what was growing up like for you? Where did your family come from? What kind of communication styles did you have in your family? What was relationship like between mom and dad?" Really looking at the individual as a whole in that way, and not just they are who they are by themselves. No, they're made up of all these different systems in their lives, right? And all of
Yeah.
us have such different families. Some come from huge ones, some come from very small ones. It really just impacts who the individual becomes. And so I like to take that lens a lot in individual work. And we're also doing a lot of work with some of our families and doing this FIS intervention and going into
Mm.
some families' homes and seeing, hey, like, what is your environment like in real life, not just in this space with us? Let's really see you guys in action so that we can kind of work from that family systems lens and get a better grasp of how each individual is being affected by the entire system. Right. So
Mm.
I love it. It's been great.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And going into, getting into I've had people I laugh along the way over the years. People say to me, if I'm seeing them for couples counseling or if I'm just seeing them for whatever, they would or even for parenting, and seeing them as a family, they would say, "We just wish that you would come live with us,
Yeah.
and like just come live with us for a few days." And like
Uh-huh.
it's so powerful to be able to, like it would be so powerful to be able to like be in their day to day
Right.
and not just, and like stop them and go, okay, right there when you said,
Uh-huh.
or like, did you see how that impacted such as,
Right.
like it, or hey, here's how, maybe try
Yeah.
this, and I've always thought that that would be so incredible. I'm like, we laugh and, some of them I think have been serious. They were willing to like, no, please tell us what, if there was a way to do
Right.
this, like I would totally pay you to come live with
Yeah.
us, if it was a viable, yeah. But now you're right. We've started doing that here. We've started sending someone into the home with the families that we're working with. Tell us a little bit tell the listeners a little bit about that like what that's like.
Yeah. Well, we have a family intervention specialist named Carrie who is working with us, and we basically we set a routine for the family where they could be doing couples work, they could be doing individual work, whether it's kids or parents. And then they can be doing family sessions as well. So we set a routine with them, a structured um, schedule of their
Yeah.
sessions that they come in. And then we also will do the FIS, that's what we call it, the family intervention specialist work in the homes. So we'll kind of have it planned out. So in between the individual, the couple, or the family sessions, you're also getting that in home work. And we get to get a better grasp of the dynamics, the patterns that are happening in the home, right? Because when you come in the session, it can be very different. Some members might
Yes.
feel like, oh, I'm really on the spot, I'm in this room. And when you're in someone's home, it just gives you a better grasp of like, okay, this is who they are outside of this room. Yeah. So
Right.
we've just started this, and so far it's been really great. We've really learned a lot so far from going in the home and working with these clients. Yeah, I've loved it.
Oh, I love that for you. That's amazing. Um, so anything else that you want to say about the people that you work with and how you work with them, like what kinds of things you're seeing, what they're struggling with, what patterns they tend to have before we move on?
I mean, I think overall for me, the biggest thing I see in couples and individuals and just in families is really like getting outside of yourself, right?
Mm,
Um, because we
yes.
impact others in so many different ways. We impact our families, we impact our partners. And it's like, how can I let go of myself in this scenario to better the whole system? That's, that we're working towards a common goal. This is what we want. But if I'm getting in the way of that goal, right, we're not going to make any progress here. So I think that's one of the biggest things is like, in a very like humble way, just saying, hey, like, maybe I'll put you first today. How can I get away from me? Yeah, so I think
Yeah.
that's one of the biggest things I've seen.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. So how when you're with your clients in in the session, how do you help them begin to discover, understand, and like uncover the beliefs and the wounds and the survival patterns, the protective patterns that they have that are keeping them stuck, that aren't working for them?
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think it depends client to client, and some it's going to be tougher than others because they're really holding on to those things that really they think are keeping them functional, but it's just true dysfunction, right? So really
Yeah.
just let's start by just slowing down. Let's notice what you're feeling inside. I like to really work from like, excuse me, an emotionally focused lens. So like, hey, let's take
Yep.
a moment and let's care for these feelings. Let's validate these feelings, right? The Lord
Mm,
gave us emotion for a reason. Um, but then let's also find out what's underneath that, right? So, hey, you
mm,
might be having some of these thoughts, but what is that coming from? Where is that stemming from? Where else have you seen that in your life? And then let's really look at these thoughts, these feelings, these behaviors that aren't aligning with who you truly want to be, right?
yes.
Because obviously we see that this isn't going the way you want it to. You have an end goal of who you want to be, but this isn't matching up here. What fear is like holding you from moving forward into that fullness that you want to live? Really starting there. I like to do a lot of
Oh, I love that.
uh, identifying the fears underlying the statements, underlying the emotions, right? I think that's so
Mm,
interesting because a lot of our feelings and things we express are just rooted in fear, right? Um,
absolutely.
yeah, so really just starting to build those puzzle pieces up so we can get a full picture of what's underneath the the presenting issues, right? And that can take
Yes.
time and it just depends each client. So, yeah,
Oh, good stuff. Yeah, it's like we think we can't see the depth of like We just know what we're tired of. We just know where we're struggling. We just know what isn't working. We don't understand, okay, why am I doing that? Where is that? Why do I struggle with that so much? Where did that come from?
Yeah.
And that's what we are trained and gifted by God to be able to do, is to see through those patterns and struggles and symptoms
Yeah.
into what's really driving this, what's underneath this. And you're right, so many times it's fear or shame based.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh
I really like to start by just exploring the client's world, their fears, their doubts, their beliefs. And I do it from like an acceptance and commitment therapy lens of like, hey, we don't need to shove this down. And we also might not need to act on it, right? We can accept that this is happening, that you're having these thoughts, you're having these feelings, but will you
yes.
act on it or will you suppress it? I think that's a lot of times where people go wrong, is not just being like, oh, I noticed that thought happening. What am I going to do with it? Right?
Yeah.
Like where did it come from? Like what fruit is coming from those thoughts, from those emotions, from those behaviors? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I like to do a lot of like acceptance work.
Mm, yeah. Well, because oftentimes like, we judge. The first thing we do is judge it. And then that creates more pain.
Mhm.
It's like we judge ourselves so harshly, don't we? It's like, this thing is not working for me. I hate it. I'm
Right.
tired of living this way. I didn't really create it, but now I'm having to live with it. But I hate myself for it. And it's all my fault. And,
Mm,
it's like all the things. And then we just end up in this spiral, and there's no, there's no healing in that.
yeah. Agreed.
Wow. So, what is your, you've talked about this a lot. Anything else you want to say about your process when you're helping someone move towards, clarity and freedom, or really just a more grounded, like, whole version of themselves? Anything that you want to add to that you haven't said?
Yeah, just with the acceptance work, like once we kind of identify those patterns, those beliefs, those negative thought patterns, once we do that, that's really like where I start to do the deeper healing work. Let's
Yeah.
go through emotional regulation. Let's challenge some of those limiting beliefs.
Yeah.
And I just really like to emphasize with my clients that okay, we can we can accept some of the thoughts and emotions that are showing up, but how are you going to act in a way that aligns with your values and your beliefs and who you want to be? What would that version
Mhm.
of you do? Right? Because otherwise we're
Mhm.
just going to stay stuck in the cycle, the
Yep.
patterns. We're not going to move forward, right? Like sure, we can identify it, we can accept it, but what are you gonna do next, right? So,
Right.
really just making sure that we're taking that leap to that next step, not just
Yeah.
sitting and ruminating in the acceptance of negative thoughts, negative emotions. So,
Yeah. Yeah, you bring up really good points that, that acceptance piece is, and the being compassionate with ourselves is really important. But then, all right, how do we move beyond this? How do we get through this? And the other thing that I heard you say is that is just brilliant, is that we oftentimes are waiting to feel better or for something outside of us to
mm,
change before we
mhm,
change something. And so we're waiting on us, like I said, ourselves to feel better or our circumstances to shift. And what you just said was, or what you alluded to, was that you really help people become and live differently and make different choices based upon who that next level version of themselves
right,
is. How would that person live? How would that person who is confident and empowered and free, what choices would they make?
yeah.
And that's what is so powerful in shifting reality.
Oh, of course, it's once you have that insight, what's the action with it, right? Because it's
Yes.
great to have an insight, but then let's
Right.
do something with it. Let's become the best
That's
version of
right.
ourselves and move forward
Exactly.
out of that trauma, out of that betrayal, out of that rumination. Let's really act on
Yeah.
it. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, so good. Yeah. If someone is sitting here, they're listening and thinking, I've tried therapy before. It didn't work. Um, I hear what she's saying and that sounds good. That sounds good, but like she doesn't understand what I'm dealing with, and how hard that, like, I've been here for a long time. I'm tired of this. Like, what is it that you want them to know?
I mean, I think what I said at the beginning, that healing is available to anyone, but at the end of the day, it is your choice, right?
Yeah.
And so maybe that person is still stuck in the thoughts and the patterns, and this is never going to get better. This is never going to get better. Well, those thoughts are leading to what you're feeling, the emotions that you're feeling, which then leads to your behavior of just remaining stuck, right? Um,
Yeah.
and I think that you can always try, you can always come back to therapy. Maybe the person that you were with before wasn't right for you, right? Finding
Yeah.
that therapist that really resonates with you, that will walk alongside you in what you need, it can be hard
Yeah.
to find, right? Someone that really aligns with you and who you want to become. So that's what I
Yeah.
would say.
If listeners could walk away today with encouragement, empowerment, like some powerful truth that about their healing, about transformation. You've said so many beautiful things already and so much encouragement. But like what's one or two things that you really want to leave people with that will encourage and empower them? I can't speak.
Yeah. I think that uh therapy isn't all about coming in to fix. Um,
Mm,
I think that it's just more about awareness of who you are,
yeah.
understanding yourself, um, understanding who God created you to be, and
Yeah.
knowing how you can live in line with who you want to become, the life you want to live, the values and beliefs that you hold. Um,
Mm,
I think that God made each of us beautifully, and my work is to just help you understand who you have been created to be, right?
mm,
And that the fears and the worries and the negative thoughts that you have, right? Those don't come from Him, right? Uh,
yeah.
and we can work through those to make you live to your fullest. That's what I would
Mm.
say.
Oh, that's beautiful. Wow. Yeah, you're so right. It's like we only know the reality that we're used to. We only know ourselves to be who we have known ourselves to be.
Right.
We only know the life that we have lived.
Mm,
But who says that's all for us?
yeah.
It's not all for us. And God says it's actually, there's more for us. And so our experiences so many times and the reality that we think is reality, I call it facts versus truth.
Mhm.
It's like the facts of our lives, the facts of who we think we are and what the life that we've been used to living feel real to us. But the truth of who we are and the truth of what God says is available to us is the truth.
Right.
And so, how do we move from living in the facts of what we've always known into the truth of what He says?
Right. Totally.
And that's what you're saying
Yeah,
and that's powerful transformation.
it is.
That's incredible. And you literally walk people through that
Right.
to move them from one place to the next.
Yeah. That's all I want to be, is I just want to walk alongside you.
That's incredible. So, for that person who's listening and loving what you're saying and is feeling encouraged, if they want to, talk to you about whether they'd be a great fit, as a client for you, how do they go about doing that? How do they contact you? And do you talk with them first? Like, how do they go about that?
Yeah. Well, You can go to arisecounselingcoaching.com and you can click on my profile. And there it'll have my number and my email. And what I usually like to do is set up an intake call first with you
Yeah.
and just see how I can help you and how I can be beneficial in your life and see if it feels like it would be a good fit. And if we feel like it will, I'll set up an intake session with you and we'll go from there. Um, and
Mm,
my
yes.
calendar or my scheduler is on the website as well. And you can book that intake call with me directly through the scheduler. Um, and then we can book an intake call. That would be great.
Whoa. Well, thank you so much, Grace, for being with us today. Thanks for sharing your heart. Thanks for your beautiful heart and the work that you've done on yourself that allows you to help so many others. And you guys, if this did inspire you or empower you or encourage you in some way, and you know somebody needs to hear it, please share it with them. And then reach out to Grace if you're thinking, ooh, that might be like I really want to. I've got some things that I really want to work on and with myself, and she'll be happy to walk it out with you or make sure that she's the right fit for you. So, thanks for joining us today, Grace, and thank you guys for listening in, and we will see you again soon on another episode of the podcast.
Awesome.
And hope you have a great day wherever you are in it, and we'll see you soon.
All right. Thanks, Connie.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye, guys. I'm so glad you tuned in to this episode of the Warrior Arise podcast. I look forward to continuing our journey together as we live in freedom and fullness as the powerful warriors that we are. Please subscribe to be notified of new episodes. And if you gleaned wisdom and inspiration today, please share it with a friend or loved one. Also, write a review on iTunes. And I'll see you on the next episode.